Well, welcome back, everybody. As you know, it's Sports Federation TV, the Provincial Confederation Sport Federations member show. It is for the sport federations, the provincial sport federations in the Western Cape, and of course the various districts and their structures. He's been on the show with me before, just a few weeks ago, just after lockdown. That's the president of Western Cape Tennis, and I thought we've got to catch up with Riyad Davids one more time. Well, not one more time, but constantly, to find out how things are going in the world of tennis. Riyad, speaking to you off camera, where we just had that opportunity. You guys have been extremely busy as an executive structure.
No, absolutely. So one of the first things we decided to do is let's get our website up and running. Let's start doing all our meetings via Zoom. Let's tidy up our constitution. We applied for an NPO. We did a new website. And we're starting to ask all the districts to hold their AGM so that when the Western Cape Tennis Federation holds their quadrennial AGM, everyone else has held their AGMs already. So we've gone out to everybody. We've been busy with EPG reports. And Wineland successfully held their AGM via Zoom. Eden invited us to their AGM for 20th of May. We've said to them, contact that via Zoom as well. They're going to be doing that. And that's where we'll go through all our different districts, getting them onto Zoom. We've tidied up our constitution. So we've done a lot of the admin paperwork type of thing. And of course, we're staying in touch with our athletes because we're trying to find things for athletes to do during this time. One of the big things is strength and conditioning training. And then also letting in terms of officials and things, with the ITF is actually to doing courses online. So there's a huge amount of courses online. They've just done an app now, which is the rules of tennis. I'll say to everybody, download it, put it on your phone. It's absolutely fantastic. So a lot more planning can go into it. It gives us a time in terms of this time to really do a whole lot of planning. We've set up everything to start possibly playing again in July. It might not happen, but at least until such time, we've got a new plan. We've got a new schedule of tournaments. One of our top tournaments that we call the Growth Point Super 8 is just below nationals.
Have you got any idea at this stage? I mean, are you guys probably waiting for further announcements before you start with all the bigger planning?
So what we've done is, we had our first one, which was going to be a start in June. We then pushed it out to be a start from the middle of July. We haven't changed that, although we have a risk committee meeting tomorrow morning, and then we look at, do we have to change that? It probably looks like we have to change that, and probably what's going to happen is a lot more is going to happen on the local front. So we might play provincial tournaments, but we won't take people from outside the province traveling to come and play. So we're looking at a whole lot of different scenarios in terms of what we can do to give people play time. With tennis, it's a non-contact sport, so it'll probably be one of those that can happen sooner than other sports, where you look at the proper contact sport like wrestling or something like that might take longer, rugby might take longer. Tennis as a non-contact sport might be slightly sooner.
You're quite a seasoned sports administrator. You've been in the game a long time. You sit at the national level. You sit at the international level. And listening to you guys and listening to your structures, the fact that you've got tennis structured in all 6 of the districts in the province is quite impressive on its own. And the fact that you came out of the starting blocks to sort out so many administrative things like policies and committee structures and all that. Why is that so important? I mean, there's a lot of people watching tonight that probably think sport is just about results and logs and fixtures and that, but behind the scenes there's a management team and administrative team that makes it all work.
Yeah, so the most important thing is if you want your structures to work, you've got to be present in all 6 districts. Every district's got to be registered with the local district sports council. They've got to be compliant. They've got to hold an AGM, they've got to have financials. There's a whole set of things that you require. So if they don't have it, tennis won't be, like, let's say if you take something like Eden or you take Central Karoo, if you don't have an active structure in there, you can't expect tennis to happen. So, if they don't have an up-to-date constitution, you can't expect sport to be played if the structures aren't in place.
Is that something I mean, I obviously have most of the answers being involved in the world of sport, but from a tennis perspective, and your history as a sports administrator, why is that so important? Why is it so important to have policies in place and constitutions in place?
But you see, if in the absence of it, you have a lot of what we call background noise. If you don't have a constitution and you don't have buy-in from everybody, if there's a problem, they refer to the fact that you didn't have an AGM or you didn't have elections, or they'll say the constitution is outdated or things like that. That is why things, sport works. But the day you have a problem or you have to sort out something, you need to go back to structures. And if you don't have your structures in place, then you end up with a mess. That's when you end up in court. That's when you end up people fighting amongst each other or walking away from the game. So structure is important. It's like I say to guys, when you play a game of tennis, the rules are absolutely critical. But now you go back to the federation or you go back to the district, you go back to the club, and now you want to insist on tennis rules, but you want to operate without having the rest of the structures. It is absolutely critical to have it. And the stronger your structure is, the better it makes and the easier it makes to play the game.
How important is it to have those structures right and have all those policies and administrative matters in place? How important is that for sponsorship?
Well, it's critical for every aspect of the game. It's critical for a guy that knows behind him there's a structure so he can concentrate on the game. The last thing you want is the athlete getting involved in the admin side of things. The higher up the athlete goes, the less time he must spend on structure. And that's why in many ways, the best administrators are guys that play the sport at low level and leave the high performance to the athlete. Because if the athlete isn't completely focused on his sport, he doesn't spend all his time. And always I say is many times the most important match is the guy that's playing for position in a 32 draw for 31 and 32, not between number 1 and 2. Number 1 and 2, the guys come either first or second. But 31 and 32, he's going to be the guy that's either come last or he's come second last. But if he's got to worry about the structure side of things, he's got to worry about the admin, he's not spending his time on court. And that's the important thing. You need everybody within. It's like they say the simple thing is like a car. You can't have a good gearbox and you don't have a good engine. You can't have a good gearbox, good engine, you don't have tires. So it's very important. People don't understand that. They think Federer and Nadal, it works well for them because they can concentrate on the game. And equally well, all the way down to the lowest ranked player, he's got to also know the structure behind him is good. Once you've got a good structure, you can now take the game to the next level. If players find that admin is a nightmare and admin is always fighting, when they leave the game, they walk away from the admin side. Also, you want to look at the lost generation of people that maybe never played, but maybe can't come into the game, but they can come into the game as administrators.
Just tell us, now that we're talking about the sponsorship space, you guys have just launched a brand new website. I see it on the screen there now for people who want to find out more about tennis and join your structures, www.wctennis.co.za. What can people find if they go and visit that website?
Okay, so the first thing is it will give you an idea of all the districts. It will give you a map. It will give you the municipal boundaries. It will tell you who our administrators are and everything like that. And that's important. We're going to put in there the National Sports Act. We're going to start building and loading it with a huge amount of information. And then we're going to put on links to all the various things. There will be a tennis integrity unit, drug-free sport. We want to put as much as possible on there. So at the moment, as we've launched it, we just have our structure as it is. We're going to be putting on constitution. We tell other sports organizations, plagiarize our constitution, look at it, give us input into it. We link to the Tennis South Africa website. We want to be on the international tennis one. And in that way, we want to have it that it's your first call. It must be your home. The next thing we want to do is put in training videos, put in snippets of people that are active in the sport, people that have left the sport, put in the history of the sport. So from where it is, I think in about a month's time, you're going to see a completely different website. It's going to be interactive. We want to put our Twitter. We want to link everything to it. So a huge amount is going to go into it. But at the moment, it was just to put our presence there. And from there, we're going to keep on building it and building it. Because we want it to be, if you're not on court, it must be your next home from home.
Yep. I'm just looking at it while we're talking, and it looks great. It's fantastic stuff to know that there's a presence. So for the folks that want to go out there and want to join Western Cape Tennis, they've got a place to go to. Riyad, we're going to leave it at that because I know that if you and I carry on, we're going to be talking way into midnight. So
Absolutely, JP. Keep up
yeah.
the good work. And as I say to the guys, there is life within lockdown and there's a bigger life after lockdown. Stay home, stay safe, and I'm sure within a few weeks we'll all be on court again.
I'm looking forward to it. We'll obviously chat to you on a regular basis. That's what it's for. Hopefully we'll get maybe some videos from the athletes, and we'll get
JP, you tell me when I must send to you. I've got another 50 to send to you, no problem.
We'll cross to Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal. We'll get them on the show as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll set it up. Thanks, JP.
Fantastic.
Oh, well.
Right, folks, that's of course Riyad Davids, president of Western Cape Tennis, on the line there with us. Wow, how active is Western Cape Tennis? Really setting a model there for federations and their structures, and making sure. So there's an organization that you know is really lock-stocked, ready to go, great administrative structures in place, and that's exactly what you need if you join a sports organization.